And we are live talking about politics once again. We will be reacting to what we reacted in the last two politics streams. We will actually finish that video because we didn't finish that video. So, how are you, D Lord?
I am good. I've just Monday. It's better Monday than the other.
This is good. We
The only
want
thing
that.
is, you gotta realize though, reacting to political stuff, you either need to be on top of it or understand the news. It moves like far quicker.
Yeah,
But
I'm always behind stuff in everything.
you don't have
That
to be behind if you get slightly ahead of it. It's never so bad. Like the whole thing, it was really a nothing political nothing burger, but like a journalist got into a it lasted longer because during a meeting, like I guess you'd think the government uses secure channels and vets everyone in the room. So during like a Zoom style meeting or whatever software they use, a journalist got in under a different name and then had leaked plans because the US said they were either going to bomb Hoopties or something. The Hoopties, and they turned out interesting. Where, uh, obviously, yeah.
So I guess we can react to what's left of the video we covered in the last two meeting. Um so let's do
Really great things
this.
tonight, and we're going to honor a lot of people who deserve it tonight. And we're going to set the Democrats up and point out the fact that even for the most wonderful of announcements, they cannot cheer it on because of their hatred for me. And he set it up at the beginning of his speech, and the Democrats followed through hook, line, sinker with exactly what he said they would. And alongside Jocelyn and DJ.
What makes me laugh is how when you're against something, you just cannot give any win. It's like if you give a win, it discredits anything you're trying to do, and it's kind of unfortunate. It's not being able to put aside the pride or something. Any thoughts on that, D Lord?
I mean, what's funny in the post part of this, the issue in the post part of all of the crap that happened here was the irony is that Democrats really haven't learned. What they see is not exactly the same thing, because what you're seeing, see, I think what happened is like it'd be curious to check some of the others. Like, did she not see that the party they want is not the party that exists? It's the
Yeah.
same thing. Republicans had the issue too, because like if you go through a movement, you can hope and wish and all you want, but it doesn't mean it's there.
Yeah,
And what she wants to see is not always going to be as well.
that's true.
And that's where she's going to get into trouble, because her stuff is, I'm not saying largely, but it's like she's not going to just be able to ignore it, because a lot of what Democrats wanted they didn't get. It's like when I had the talk with Bob, like when we were going over this, he's like weird, where he literally straight up says like he's fine with the extremists, right?
Because he knows he's won, so that would be inaccurate to say
It's like
it's wrong to be won.
the Democrats still roughly quote unquote sane, right? They do. And the thing is, you also have this issue of Democrats since this period, they're just doubling down. And
Shooting on one foot is not enough. You need to shoot both feet.
that's what they've been doing. It's like they probably will. They just it's hard to say like why they're doing it, but they are just they've been doing this pretty much ever since. And if one thing is good is and the Republicans really aren't stepping in to just say stop it. I mean, but also too, it's like you have this moment where she was like hopeful. The funny part is she's like hopeful, like Democrats should embrace this. But this isn't the Democrats you wanted. This is the Democrats you're seeing. Because like that thing I was telling you about, like with the leaking of the report, right? The
Yeah,
journalist that got in,
yeah,
people go, "Oh, you need to fire Pete Hegseth," right?
yeah,
Well, technically, the advisor put in let someone into this meeting and that person's going to get fired, right?
yeah,
But it wasn't the journalist in there. But then the journalist, out of some quote unquote perceived moral integrity that they have, thought to release the plans versus keep it secret. But it was really a nothing burger. It wasn't like Democrats go, it's a leak, it's a leak, it's a leak, it's a breach. No. It's not like war plans got leaked. It was just an action. But the same way, all these people want integrity and you want to see it. You can wish for the best, but honestly, Democrats at the point, it's like they feel like they have to. They're at a crossroads. Their party is so divided. They could either go further left, purify their party more, or try to move back. So
they won't
far,
move back because that's
no, that's the
admitting
thing.
they
They're
lost.
doubling down. And that's the problem. If they get wrecked, and the only thing that's going to cause them to change is because during a cycle, give it about 2 years out from the, if it goes towards the U.S. midterms and they're still this extreme, they're going to lose seats. Because bear in mind, if Republicans also have to be able to capitalize on their gains in California,
Yeah,
but at the same time, political winds can very shift depending on one crisis or another. Right now, it's shifting in favor of Trump's and conservatives.
because they actually tried to change stuff and they offer something the left didn't offer in many years
I mean,
now.
believe it or not, we do have a tentative peace deal in Ukraine. Even
Yeah,
after the Zelensky's meeting, it came at the cost of like the
too many
Zelensky.
people.
No, the Zelensky meeting looked really bad. But if Trump willingly came out and said, "I'm gonna just give us this mineral deal so I can stick U.S. troops over there," he can't say that publicly. But Trump is also a bull in a china closet when it comes to foreign politics. I think when it comes to deals, he is good. When it comes to dealing with foreign and domestic politics, he needs a person who knows how to do it. And there's your problem of that's why when shortly it's like when he cracked down on Zelensky, people called him a Russian agent again or a Putin sympathizer. Then in turn, he put sanctions on Russia, followed shortly by China uh, putting more sanctions on China, as well as China putting more tariffs on both Canada and the US. That's why I said there's a lot of stuff going on in politics. It's moved at light speed since this point.
Yeah, and I feel like the conservatives are the one that want change now. That may sound weird, but they are the one that really want a better world. I feel like they're not about like destroying everything. They're more about like let's make it work again because it didn't work in the last decade or so, even more than that. So I guess
Mm.
now we can Uh,
Let me say this to you.
Mandalore's in the chat right now. I like
So,
that comment.
so
Um,
here's the thing. Like, let me say this: conservatives want to move back to what they perceive as a status norm.
and that
Then,
as what is working actually.
well, see what works. It goes back to saying you can have gay people, trans people, whatever else, but they are going to not be a perceived. They still have protections underneath the law.
Yeah,
It's the will of the majority rule. You
yeah,
can. It's not that the vocal minority has the thing, but there's also this clash where when you have a period of an extremism, people will it rubber bands back. At best, conservatives worldwide just want to go what works. Because if you actually had another 4 years of a Democrat or liberal politics, either one or two things was going to happen: total economic collapse globally,
yeah,
or B, there was going to be a lot more wars. Because you see, when you have US at the lead, regardless of whoever the president is, you see how quickly they get in line.
yeah.
There's just, look, just the given fear you have a strong leader gets
You don't want
people.
to mess with a strong leader because a strong leader can tear you apart.
Basically, here's the big thing that Trump has. He has a portion moniker of the insane madman side of him.
And he is feared. Let's be honest. He is feared because he's crazy and dangerous.
That's part of the issue. That's the actual facts.
That's good. We need some fear.
There's
To
that
put up on
uncertainty
people.
of what he would actually do. Like, would he really? That's why, like, everyone's like, would he really take? Like, I'm still seeing stories like he wants Greenland and such. Like, apparently, even the Dutch are like, I mean, technically, Greenland's a frozen iceberg, and it has only a couple of inhabitable spots with that, and it's like, but then again, the reason why we want it, he can't publicly say we have like internet cables and other stuff that run up there that the Chinese, because ignore the whole fact the Chinese had a tanker or like a cargo ship just randomly go over there and cut into an internet cable that caused disruption in the UK's internet.
Wow.
That was right up there by Greenland and Iceland.
Wow.
I mean, the story was a big story. It was a Chinese ship that has like a bottom. And this is how the internet goes around the world. Like, Australia is connected by under cable.
Yeah.
So there was just a Chinese clipper that just randomly tried to cut into
internet.
it to the UK as a preemptive test of what would happen. And
Wow.
this was unknown unless you read the story or saw the story.
That's hilarious.
It is. There's a real thing. And I'm like, but he can't openly say that's why we want to put stuff up there, because both China and Russia have been having the itch to test the theory to, in a first strike scenario, damage underwater cables.
Yeah.
So you move along.
Perfect. That's a good idea.
Donald Trump also honored Lake and Riley with the Lake and Riley Act and promised to go after these cartels that have already entered our country illegally. And he's going to track them down. And he's also labeled them as terrorist organizations, which puts them right with ISIS. And of course, the Democrats could not clap for that. Here's a moment where he talks about securing the border.
I feel like it's actually true. That was the right move. And welcome, Mandalore. Any thoughts on illegal being like ISIS?
Wait, illegal being ISIS?
Yeah.
Okay, so he did do this. Like, what's funny is we could have always labeled them, like, conservatives and other people said, basically just give us carte blanche like to label the cartels as terrorist organizations. So by that metric, because they're enemies of the state, we can actually bomb them. Mexico was like, well, can't do that because the Democrats didn't want to do that because they were going to have to actually mobilize openly drone strikes and things. And then we started to secretly send paramilitary, our SEAL team and Delta Force to go take care of them. And now there has been a byproduct of this. I don't know if you heard the story about the gay makeup artist or the gay hairdresser that had a tattoo and a couple of false deportations. But for the most part, we've been sending people back. We did find 5 of the most dangerous people, and then we carted them off to Guantanamo.
Oh, very quickly, I told my wife I was going to stream with you guys. D-Lord, you know what her response was? She's like, go have fun streaming with D-Lord, because I've been streaming with you the most. And then I says, oh, and Multi. So her response was, not that gay beanie baby, right?
I'm not gay. I got a girlfriend.
No, not you. So she now calls him a gay beanie baby.
Rest in peace.
Who are we talking about? Oh yeah, no, that is funny. But yeah.
Stray beans.
Okay, so I will get you up to speed. We were talking about how well, I think you were in the chat when we said that, but I feel like conservative they want to fix thing and they want to bring some normalcy to the crazy, and it's in response of like 4 years in your case of or I should say in D-Lord case of Joe Biden and his BS. And
It's been longer than that because remember the progressive movement. See, it's a movement. Progressives, meaning hence progress, right? Like, I went over, we've seen their indoctrination going over the last generation.
Yeah.
But the thing is, it creeps like a... they're like a force like conservatives are, but they are a smaller force. Like conservatives, no matter how much you think you ever have a majority, normies still rule. The idea is you can only... What caused their issues, they went too much into identity politics and tribalism.
Yeah.
Which, the more you divide... So it turns out we've just had lawlessness because Democrats fundamentally can't handle crime because they go, oh shit, we're going to have to say a majority of gun crime in this area is done by blacks or Mexicans. Whoops. They can't
We cannot say that.
We can't say that because that sounds weird. Because Gavin Newsom just launched he's trying to reinvent himself.
As
Like,
the more centralist guy, but I think it's...
Oh, no. Have you heard the controversy? He now thinks Latinx is Latinx is not a real term. But
no one ever said it.
And here's the funny thing. He actually, when he was governor of California and doing that, he was during stops, he was saying it like it's a real thing. And now he says it isn't. And CNN was like, now he says it's a bad term. And they played all these montage of clips of him saying it. And it's like, I'm laughing to myself. I'm like, this is what we've said about Democrats for a while. They embrace a small movement and
it hurts them.
Runs with it. Now he's saying Latinx is a bad term.
They run it into the ground.
Yeah. So I guess now we can move on with the rest of the stuff, the thing there.
Media and our friends in the Democrat Party kept saying we needed new legislation. We must have legislation to secure the border. But it turned out that all we really needed was a new president.
That's exactly all I feel here in Canada.
But Carney's not a good alternative for you.
It
Just
does
look at him,
freaking
man.
legal
Wow.
fraud.
Nah.
Look at their faces. She looks so angry there. She's like,
That's
"Shut
just her
up!"
face.
The problem, okay, when you understand our ruling class in our country, so in ancient Greece, the reason why politicians were all old men is because if you lived to about 40 or 50, you were near the end of your life expectancy.
Yeah, that's
So a lot of people who were prominent in that period, even potentially not as much Rome, but more over there, were spending their last part of their lives in politics because there's a realistic trait that they weren't going to live that long. Now, the problem we have in the US
Is great
is
medical.
these people live for years. You think of like the same senators we've had in the US and Congress people. McCain served until he was practically dead. Term limits for the Senate is like 6 terms. Biden has literally been in DC for a total of like 30 or 40 years.
Well, look at
go
the judge
retire,
guy.
old fart.
Like half these people who are up there had one practice where they did stuff. Like you see like like them, like the one that literally looks like a purple hag with purple hair. That's what she literally looks like. They're like 50 plus years old that are like, and the AOCs are the rare ones. Like the rest look like, and some of these people have been up there between Congress and the Senate. So congressional terms don't have a limit. You just have to be reelected every 2 years. Senate has 6. So senators, right, that stay up there for 3 to 4 terms, there's a reason why we want term limits. But then
Yeah.
again, half these Democrats that want to say, we understand, you know, the meme of young people are hip and stuff. They're over the hill by miles. Like, the Democrats aren't, like, Republicans have this issue as well. Mitch McConnell served right up until he started developing issues. Lindsey Graham has been there almost my entire life. Like, I swear I've seen that man since the 90s. Yeah, it's a political class sucks. That's
Yeah.
why half these people look old.
And bitter. Any thoughts, Mandalore?
No, it's pretty much what D-Lord said, and it's just, it's all so corrupt these days. It's
Just look at Canada. I mean, like, NDP is just like liberals, but with
No.
rich Indian.
no. The liberals are the fucking Democrats. The NDP are communist.
Really?
Liberals are supposed to be the centrists, but they're the leftists.
That was clear, but yeah. I
No,
was sure NDP was just like freaking liberals, but like with an Indian as their leader.
no. And he might not even get his seat this year.
Oh, really? Oh, I wish they kick
He
him out
might
because he
lose
doesn't
his
represent the little people with his Rolex and Maserati. He doesn't represent
His
the
what?
small people. Maserati, his car is luxury
Maserati?
car.
Oh,
Yeah.
your French way of saying things is so wrong.
I mean,
No.
you have to understand, you guys probably have more issues. Like, you guys can actually do it. We have to actually wait where we can't just do the parliamentary election where oh, if we don't like these people, we just have to live with them until it's basically the lesser of two evils. That's what we have here in the US.
No,
It's
it's
the
not
same
even that.
here.
Not the lesser two evils. You have to stay with them until they fuck up so bad that they go, well, we can't do that anymore. Which is what happened in this last election. They've gone the last couple of years, and with all the illegals, people went, fuck this.
Okay, technically in the US, we still have, how you can tell our system is still healthy is we still have a good they call the silent majority, which are independents, libertarians, and the people who aren't super politically active, but they understand politics. That's who the Democrats have been pissing off. Every so often, that's why generally, like, let's assume you have a president from one party for 8 years. Very rare do we have a period where a Democrat, it usually goes a Democrat, Republican, right? Because 8 years of one party being in power, what happens is we will usually over that period will have, let's say the president is a Republican, the other bodies of government, being the Senate and the House, will be Democrat. So we have this weird balance system where one force balances out the other. Now, what happens is traditionally, people just get fed up with the way stuff is. We kick enough of them out. No party for one whole generation. Now, there was a very weird fear when Obama got elected. The Overton window in the US got kicked over so far left, it's taken like 15 years to come back. But it came back eventually, but you're still seeing it. If this makes sense, that may not happen for you guys because you guys are still under the control of the World Economic Forum. You guys can handpick your leaders.
Wins.
But here, that doesn't happen. We have to wait until a new promising star shows up. And just because that new promising star looks good doesn't mean that star is going to be good in 4 years. Like, there's people talking about Trump grooming Vance, or Republicans grooming Vance for the presidency. Good luck on that one.
Yeah.
You are vice president right now. You already, with the Zelensky meeting, showed your ass. You're probably likely not going to be able. Vance isn't going to be good because they want Vance to continue whatever Trump's going to do. That means the Republicans have to find a new candidate. Democrats at this point are talking about either embracing the younger presidential candidates like AOC. They're talking about trotting out Bernie Sanders' corpse for 2028.
I like the idea.
That's why they've been pushing him lately.
Yes.
I gotta say before we play more of that, the people we elect don't really represent the people, and they can't because like most of the time they are privileged people, the one on top. Like here in at least in Quebec, I'm not quite sure about Canada, but in Quebec, just to be to like apply to be a party leader, you need like 350K. And even if you got that much money, it's not even sure at 100% they will elect you. So like you waste your money on a bet that maybe you will win or lose that seat. And it's ridiculous because I don't know that many people that has like just 350K just to apply for a job, you know?
Multi, before you get elected, you usually have money. People in politics usually have money, or they go around getting donate. You don't pay that usually out of pocket. You get donations. You usually go around talking to people, promoting yourself, and getting people to pay for you.
Yeah, it's still a lot of money though. 350K, it's crazy.
Okay, do people in your system start out lower? Like they start off at a lower level before going to a national level?
They don't have to.
They just need the money.
They
Get the
need to be.
money.
They usually have to be known. Like
Get the money.
like there's this. What's it like? You can start low and then never win. Like what's his name? It's in Manitoba. Robert Oulet. It's a little dumbass native guy.
I don't even know that guy.
He keeps switching between Liberal and NDP because he's just. The problem in Canada is we have a lot of natives running who just want to help natives. Just like our premier, Wab Canoe in Manitoba. He doesn't help white people. He only helps natives. And it's just like, yep, this was going to be known. Wasting tax money.
Wow, that's fun.
And
I'm
here's the
glad it's
thing.
not like that here.
So you have like with you guys, because I'm seeing stories is Carney, and I look up and it's foreign people too, even in the UK. Carney is the same or worse than Trudeau, because apparently
He's worse.
there's like I saw a story. I meant to share it with you guys. Pull it back, a YouTube video. Basically, people are saying the downfall of Canada's prince. That was Trudeau, right? And it's not going to be the same because we used to joke about the world. We joke about the World Economic Forum
No,
having
Canada's controlled by
controlling
them and China.
Actually, no.
Yeah.
The World Economic Forum, what they were using their platform as, is to counter what is called the Belt and Road. Okay. Long story short, the Belt and Road is what China has been using. It's called Belt and Road policy. Basically, China goes to underdeveloped nations like Brazil or Canada. They want like oil and such, right? Because like when we in the US denied the pipeline, that would mean we wouldn't have to carry it by ship through Alaska for oil, right? We were talking about having a pipeline where a pipeline would go from Canada through the US that would allow the flow of oil for both countries, and it gives you natural gas, whatever we need. But Democrats largely blocked that Keystone pipeline. China, in turn, because they always need resources, they drain the smaller nations and then they take it back to theirs. The World Economic Forum, while intentionally well intent, used like your nation to block China's progress because China came to your nation to get your rare minerals. Yeah, largely parts of Canada are uninhabitable. So, but they do have resources. It's like Alaska. Alaska was considered a barren wasteland. Then people found gold and coal and all sorts of crap up there. So, it's like Greenland. Greenland may not have certain stuff, but it has rare earth minerals. So, but the byproduct is your nation went far left. Your conservatives try to fight, but you're still under the thrall of the World Economic Forum. And not Sauron, Klaus Schwab.
No, but China also has a lot of saying shit. Trudeau's been proven to be paid off a couple times by China. Trudeau's paid off by everyone. Trudeau should be in jail.
Yeah. And Carney as well for moving funds around and doing what I call legal fraud.
That this election is rigged.
Me too. I think it's rigged. I think we will have another election where it will be liberals again and minority twice in a row, and that will just prove how democracy doesn't really exist in Canada.
What is it? Basically, with you guys, right? It's have there been any pleas? Like, how many people up there are? How many people are still in prison or being tried under Trudeau's? Like with the truckers, is that still a thing? Because
yeah,
most of them have been released. Like that was kind of done, but they've been sort of marked as traitors and terrorists. But
Debanked.
I think a lot of them are still in trial. I would be surprised if everyone finally got out
they're
of the
going through
system.
trials outside of prison. They're not in prison while waiting on trials. They're still dealing with shit.
Yeah.
Because
Because here the system is very slow. It can take years to process one case.
Just like blue cities or blue areas in U.S., bad offenders do not stay in jail. They get released. They get slaps on the wrist here just like they do in Democrat-run areas.
Yeah.
Okay, that's the reason I asked that is because because it's not like we can just change an absolute policy. It's kind of like what I've said with media and the way Democrats are. It takes a period for that to work. You have to, like with you guys got probably a half of a generation to deprogram.
Yeah, more than that.
That's if
Probably
you
more
can.
than that. I'd say more than that.
15 years, 10 years, if you guys are lucky.
We've also got imported a lot of a voting database for the left, which is all the fucking Indian fuckers, the street shitters.
Well, that's the thing. How much of like...
But the problem is voting ID, we have voter ID laws, unlike some parts of the states. But they have fake IDs, so it's going to be hard to... So they'll still be able to vote.
Yeah.
See, that makes sense because the problem we have is like, what was weird is I do not know if the Republicans, like in our country, can capitalize on the red core that voted for Trump in California. Because we've had states that used to be called purple states. Like Colorado is a purple state, but it's firmly a blue state. California, I don't think Republicans can flip it. It would be interesting if they could. The heart of California is still red. It's just the outlying areas and the governing politics. But largely that is because they're still a huge influence. That's something you guys have to fight. Because a generation flip. Because if you guys have just left and far left to vote for, you gotta find a way. Because if your younger population doesn't recognize there's an issue, they're just gonna repeat the same.
Well, here's the thing. Like the American the previous election, I have high confidence in the right way. As long as it's not rigged, I have high faith that conservative is going to win.
Same here.
I'm more nervous this time. Like, even though American politics does affect Canadian politics, even though people say, no, you should have no say. We have no say in controlling it, but we are affected by American politics.
That's true.
I'm a little bit more nervous about this election because it affects us more directly. If you look at the turnouts for just the campaigning events, conservatives NDP not only can't turn out people, if they can't afford to rent places to do it, because Jagmeet Singh has more money on him in his clothing and his watches and in his cars than they have in their bank account. They are bankrupt as a party, and they always have been. They waste their money. Like, they take money and produce. Like, it's one thing if they took all the tax money and actually did the promises. They take the tax money they take from us and then do nothing with it.
And it's hilarious because he goes on podcasts and say, to make money, you need money.
I mean,
no.
Well, I've seen that. I was like, that guy just isn't on the same
because it affects us more directly. I'm a little bit more nervous about the election, but if it's legit, conservatives are going to win just because you look at the polls are bullshit. Just like the American polls showed that Kamala was going to win. Like she had a good chance at winning. I don't believe the polls. The polls can be they're falsified. I don't believe any real polls. They give you a good idea, but they're not legit. If it's not rigged, but it very well might be, it's going to be conservatives are going to win. And they should win with a majority. But even if they win with a minority government, that's still better than nothing.
If they win with minority, I will be glad, because at least that will show that we may have change. We may have change instead of having
Well, as
more
much
of
as
the
that can be
liberal
done without them
bullshit.
blocking it. But it's
Yeah.
better than continuing a complete leftist, retarded continuation.
Yeah,
Because the last
that's
9
true.
years have been horror.
That's true. Like my mom makes a lot more money than me. Like there's still a big difference between our state. Like she has two kids, I don't, and like I own a condo and she doesn't. But despite that, she struggles. Despite making bunch of money, she
Whoa, whoa, whoa.
struggles to pay the rent and the food.
Whoa. Your mother, now that you've got a girlfriend, you should be comparing to her. Does she make more money than you?
Wow.
My girlfriend makes around my money, maybe a bit more because she does a lot of overtime.
I'm being an ass. You don't need to answer that. No, no. With conservatives, we usually make more money because the tax cuts. The thing with conservatives and right wingers is they don't tax you to shit. They leave more money in your pockets for you to save, for you to be responsible for.
Fact.
Like liberals and NDP think, oh, you're too stupid to save money. You're too stupid to be responsible for all your own shit. So we're going to take your money and put towards things that you should, but you're not going to. Whereas conservatives go, you're an adult? Yep. Okay. Well, we're giving you your money. If you have a medical emergency, you should be saving and putting stuff to the side. You're responsible for your own shit. We're not taking that. We're not sitting on your money. We're not paying for everyone. You pay for yourself.
I
And
kind of like it.
there's people who aren't responsible who go, oh, I've got more money. I'm going to spend it on more booze.
Well, now here's the thing.
I'll get a new car and I don't have a job.
So what is it? You also have like, see, what's going to cause you guys, like, okay, over here we have like tech bros and other like, what is it, like top donors on Wall Street or people with influence. Like they will, because like when Elon Musk and let's say Zuckerberg started the other people, like halfway through our presidential election, you could tell because the people who were normally funding the Democrats stopped funding the Democrats. So they can effectively enforce the change. In Canada, does your wealthy people have a willingness to back the other side?
No.
That's when the people who like not just like the Soros types or whatever, like during our election, like I looked at was the top donors for like the Democrats. They weren't getting money in their coffers like they were in the past.
Yeah.
That's what you're going to have in Canada. Your people who fund. Remember, Canada just is not funding itself. That means you have to have people willing to change.
Well, we don't because we are stupid. Anyhow, I think it is a perfect time to actually play this because we've been going on very interesting tangent there, and the time didn't move.
That's the screen cap of the night right there. Were you silent or were you silenced? Because please, and it's true. They tried to talk about, oh, we're trying to push a bill through, this bill filled with all this pork, trying to fix this illegal immigration problem, HR 2, I believe it was. And what did they get done? Absolutely nothing. And what did it take Trump being in office for, I don't know, like a couple weeks to get things secured and to get our illegal passings at the border to like an all-time low at this point. Of course, with that comes the gender debate. It was brought up with sports. It's also brought up with the idea that there is more than male and female. Trump shut that down and said, no, we got 2 genders.
There are only 2 genders, male and female.
I'd say trans do exist, but I
You're
will
wrong.
lose that fight.
I will come to Quebec and kick your ass.
Non-binary. I'm like, man.
And there the Democrats
you're
are
lost.
holding up their signs that say false, which is just like, I can't give you a better example as to why you guys lost this last election than your behavior last night. It truly puts emphasis on every single part of the Democratic Party that led to this loss, the inability to find middle ground, the complete fabrication of reality that you were trying to make everybody succumb to, this anger and vitriol for people that you disagree with politically, the absolute inability to celebrate bipartisan wins. And I mean, you will not do it by any means necessary.
And I gotta add this, like, I've known many leftists and try to have a debate with them if you don't agree. Just try it. They will block you because they don't have the capacity to handle someone else's opinion. They just can't, and they pretend they're the tolerant one. It's hilarious. I think leftists are just hilarious. Any thoughts on that, Mandalore or D Lord?
So the thing about this is I'm finding with the terms of the issue with the current left is they don't really want to have it. Like, they're now shocked that I had this discussion with a person I know, he's more left, last night on a stream. I brought this up as well. They are shocked conservatives are fighting them with the same vitriol that they have given us for like 10 to 15 years. Basically, but conservatives aren't doing it as mean. But what happened with a lot of that side and the liberals, there are no such thing as classic liberals left. There's only far left progressive, and then the progressives on the other end.
Any classic liberals are pushed off.
They're gone.
Right.
They don't like tolerance. The moderate section of their party, you only got leftist and you only got the far left. Whatever that represents at the time. They are not about peace and tolerance, because we've seen what has happened to the Democrats given their own devices. They're a smaller circle of radicals that start circling in, eating their own. It's a time and tested method of how they control it. That's why progressive people are 10 times more racist than the furthest KKK member.
Well, I won't say that because KKK were going out and ending people's lives, but I can understand what you're trying to say there. It's a bit extreme, but it's on brand because we talk about politics and politics are extreme. Any thoughts on that, Mandalore? The left not being tolerant and just pretending.
They say they care about diversity. The only diversity they care about is diversity in skin color. They don't care about diversity in thought. And it's more, if you don't think like them, or if you don't agree with them, you're wrong.
You're the enemy.
Or you're against them.
We will bring you down for having your opinion.
Oh no, they will ban you for disagreeing with them on something. They have turned so many people right wing because of how insane they've been. And if you agree with almost all their policies except for one, that's just for a lot of Democrats, they agree with all their policies, but they hate being sanctuary cities and they hate giving illegals everything first and the best. But that they call you racist, they call you everything, and they've turned a lot of people right wing because if you're not with them, you're against them.
And it's hilarious. The other day I was having an argument on someone, and um, that person called me a transphobe, and it's hilarious because I'm not. I respect trans, and I had that kind of debate
And
with my
in your off
girlfriend.
time, you like to dress up pretty.
You're hilarious. But again, I'm pro trans people, but I also agree the fact that they should be separated when it comes to sport, because like if we really look at genetics and all, they have the advantage.
They
But
don't need to be separated. They just need to go into the category where they were born.
maybe not, because I mean they some of them still take hormones that will make them at a disadvantage if they go on the same weight class. Uh, but yeah,
No, if they want them to perform in sports, the best thing for them is to either on their own have their own category.
yeah.
Don't want that. They want to be able to cheat and steal from women, because you don't see many women transitioning to men competing in those sports, and those who do usually get their asses kicked.
Solid. Yeah. We would hear about that trans woman that defeats all the guys. We would hear about it for a long time. Anyway, let's play the breast.
Necessary, and just a complete lack of common sense. A complete lack of common sense. And you know where we should find agreement? In unearthing government waste and getting rid of it. And Donald Trump went through a whole list of things that our government has wasted money on. You guys need to hear it.
Some of the appalling waste we have already identified. $22 billion from HHS to provide free housing and cars for illegal aliens. $45 million for
Sad.
diversity, equity, and inclusion scholarships in Burma. $40 million to improve the social and economic inclusion of sedentary migrants. Nobody knows what that is.
Me neither.
$8 million
What's
to
that?
promote LGBTQI+ in the African nation of Lesotho, which nobody has ever heard of.
And I gotta share this. I will sound goddamn racist, but I know what I'm talking about because I did spend a lot of time with African people, whether they were born in Africa or they came here very young, or they were born here but their family is from Africa and all. And I gotta tell you this: Africa, most of the parts of Africa are really conservative, and they don't give a crap about LGBTQ plus. And I will also say this, as someone that knew a lot of African, they actually despise LGBTQ plus, and it's seen as degeneracy. It's seen as people that are crazy, and they don't take them seriously. So when I hear that they send some money to freaking people for LGBTQ plus and such, I see money laundry schemes. Um, and again, I'm sure maybe there are some freaking that think otherwise, but my experience with most of the African, they don't take LGBTQ plus seriously. They don't understand it. They despise it, and sometimes they can
Whoa.
come across as phobes.
You're looking at it at face value that they're actually spending that money. They're not. This is just the excuses that they say they're spending on money when they're just pocketing it.
Yeah. Again, I think African people are amazing, but parts of them are not really uh progressive, or they are still stuck up in 1950. It's sad to say, but that's the truth about a lot of African, and a lot of African countries are still in the 1950 with the belief of the time. They didn't really move the way the rest of the world did, and I think parts of it might be religion, but also because they are not really stupid. They are really smart, and they see that some of the white BS is actually stupid, and they just
I
don't
don't think
understand this shit.
I'm not trying to come off as derogatory to him. It's not intelligence. It's haven't changed. They have their views and they haven't changed in years.
Yeah.
They
Yeah.
see outsiders as bad.
Not always, but like they
No.
see some of the outsiders' ideas as bad. I think that's a better word to place.
But it's all just laundering scheme is all they are. You're overlooking the fact that it's because they were doing the same thing in the Middle East, and like the Middle East is not going. The only place in the Middle East that really accepts gays is Israel, but that's not where they're doing it. They're doing it everywhere where they throw gays off the roof. Like someone went to it was somewhere that was just that they evacuated after a while, and they went rummaging and they went into the dumpsters behind and they found a bunch of those books that they were talking about tossed out in the garbage that they gave them. No, most of that is just money laundering schemes.
Yeah. Fact.
So, and give you a little idea too, when in the U.S., when the major when they tried to vote for like what was the gay marriage on the stuff, right? A lot of what got in California, in New York, and when they put those on the state ballots, it was largely not just Africans, blacks and Latinos voted openly against it. They may, on social issues, vote very liberal, like
for free stuff.
For the free stuff. But when it comes to like being openly flamboyant and gay and stuff like that, Latinos and just black population in general hate it. At least. Because even in Brazil, that is supposed to be tolerant of certain things, like areas they say they're tolerant, Brazil has one of the highest, they never tell you, has one of the highest attacks on trans people.
That's sad.
Where was it that what's his name? The idiot moved after he felt threatened in the U.S. and then moved there, and then he was told it was deemed a mental issue. No, the one who just wrote a book recently. The whole Budweiser guy.
Dylan Mulvaney?
Yeah, where did he go where it was then deemed a mental condition? Was it Brazil?
I don't know. I'm not up to speed on that. So I guess now I will play the rest
Peru.
because
it was in Peru.
Oh, Peru. Oh yeah, I see. Okay.
And then shortly after he moved there, they listed it as a mental issue. And
yeah. So Dylan Mulvaney, right? Like, here's the funny thing about Peru. You think, like, here's the funny part, right? When you look at like why Africa is called the Dark Continent for more than one reason, not just because of its people. We have chunked so much money. The West has chunked billions, countless, even trillions of dollars over the years to fix Africa, and Africa is still a primitive place.
No, I will tell you this.
Parts of them are.
Yes, they still have big cities. They still have what we have as infrastructure. But here's the thing. It's only in big cities, and a lot of the money is money laundering. We said it, and a lot of the people on top are indeed very rich. So they are just like us, just in a warmer place. That's the biggest difference between them and us.
Between who and us?
The Africans and us.
Some of them have normal cities. They're still a little bit behind. Some areas, they have some bigger cities, but even those are not as modern as Western cities.
You could be surprised.
No. I know there are some, but all.
Yeah.
There's a lot less modern.
But there's also another thing, guys. may not be aware, but a lot of countries in Africa are always at war. The biggest example I got in mind would be Kinshasa and Angola. These are areas that have been in war since
Oh,
forever.
It's always in the news if you're paying attention, but they rarely talk about them.
Yeah,
No, I know that. It's just, what was I going to say? For people that invented everything, their countries, sure, for a majority, sure don't look that way.
yeah.
They still have a lot of very ancient run.
One of the factor would be religion, I think, because they're still very religious. But again, that's under topic for another day.
There's
But
other reasons. I'm not trying to be insulting, but I can't say because it will become off as horrible. But have you seen some of them trying to put out fires? That's not necessarily religion. That is lack of. I'm sorry. There was a house burning. Did you see the video of the guys who were grabbing handfuls of dirt and tossing it in the house on the fire, trying to put out the fire?
yeah.
Not all of it is. There is a very sort of specific culture which does not promote intelligence.
Yeah.
And we get that here in the West. It's not just a religion, it's a mentality.
Yeah.
They're all stereotypes, as horrible as it sounds, is based in reality. They don't just come out of nowhere.
That's true, actually. Yeah.
And it's not just saying that they were all like that at one point. It's like some of them do that. Like you hear with natives how they drink. I live in Manitoba. I can say that for Jews are cheap. I can say that. Asians are great in education. That's true. It's a stereotype, not all negative. And certain people of a certain variety act more like a species we're related to than our species itself. And I'm not
that come off as really wrong.
No, it comes off as really wrong, and that's why I'm not going to come out and say it exactly. Like people know what I'm saying. But you see those people like when there's riots in them in the streets, and some of them like when they're doing that dancing where they're just kind of smacking into each other. It looks, and when they're just starting fights in the middle of public. And again, not all of them. There's a small minority of them, but it's still a percentage of them who act and look. And I'm not talking about facial features. I'm saying mannerisms.
Yeah.
Although I'm going to say it, and this is going to come off as horrible. Leslie Jones, whoever from the female Ghostbusters, looks like a gorilla. But then so does what's his name? Looks like a silverback gorilla.
I don't know, but
who was it we were just talking about, D-Lord? I said this and you didn't have any idea who I was talking about.
D-Lord are still with us. Question was aimed at you, buddy.
Oh my god, now I gotta look it up again.
So I guess D-Lord is away. I guess we can play now.
$60 million for indigenous peoples and Afro-Colombian empowerment in Central America. $60 million. $8 million for making mice transgender. This is real.
Guys, you laugh to keep from crying. This is your tax dollars being wasted by these individuals. And let's be honest, there's probably some fraud going on here as well. I can say I'm only speculating on that, but if we're funneling millions of dollars all over the place for turning mice transgender or for LGBTQIA.
Ron Perlman.
Okay.
You've never seen it?
I don't know. I don't think so.
Here, just give me 1 second. I did this with D-Lord, and I'll do it with you. Just give me 1 second. I'll share my screen.
Okay.
Present. Screen my screen.
We were at 23. Okay. Oh, I need to hide that one. And Showcase that one. Oh my!
Like, it's not a racist thing. There's white people who look like gorillas too. But Ron Perlman looks like a silverback gorilla.
Rest in peace. That's true.
He's still alive. What do you mean, rest in peace?
Oh my! That's definitely a gorilla.
No, oh yeah, it's very much. People say he looks like it. That's not just even a me thing. That's a lot of people say he
this
looks
or
like
for
one.
STI clinics and
So, do you want to add more? Or
It's
we
not
can
racist
play?
to say someone looks like a monkey.
He does look like a monkey.
Exactly. So if I said Leslie Jones also looks like a gorilla, it's not racist. It's just some people have very sort of longer, square, ugly head faces.
Fact.
South Africa. You don't think people are skimming a little bit off the top of that? And how are these individuals going into our government broke and coming out up and rich with millions of dollars? You guys let me know.
$32 million for a left-wing propaganda operation in Moldova. $10 million for male circumcision in Mozambique. $20 million for the Arab Sesame Street in the Middle East. It's a program. $20 million for a program. $1.9 billion to recently created Decarbonization of Homes Committee, headed up, and we know she's involved. Just at the last moment, the money was passed over by a woman named Stacey Abrams. Have you ever heard of her? A $3.5 million consulting contract for lavish fish monitoring. $1.5 million for voter confidence in Liberia.
Like what? Do we even need to listen to more? No.
I feel like I hear all of these numbers, and again, we talk about laundry schemes, but I feel like if that was any other party outside of the liberals or the Democrat in the USA case, I think not that much money would have been wasted in so many stupid shit. Conservatives don't tend to waste that much money. I'm sorry, but that's the truth.
No, conservatives don't take your money. They let you keep your money.
Yeah, yeah,
And
and
most of
that's a
that is
good
not
thing.
them spending money on rightful things. That's them bullshit things which they don't think people will look into because it's hard to prove where that money's going because no one wants to go there to. It's all just money laundering. That's what most of it is.
Yeah, and again, I titled that segment there. Liberals and Democrats. This is what they do. They take your money and they waste it. It's stealing money from the people. And again,
Even
that
in Canada, when they're taking money for all this stuff, how much of it goes to actual fixing the issues?
yeah, like the war.
You've heard, and you're in Canada, so you've definitely heard of the Green Slush Fund that's gone missing and how much has disappeared from that. And
Yeah,
how many people have been questioned about what the fuck, where's the money gone? That's that's in the US. They do it in a much bigger scale.
yeah. It's disgusting. Liberals and Democrats take and waste their money. This is what they do. So don't elect them until they learn.
All parties elect it because it's kind of funny. Like when you talk about bad spending, we have this issue of like pork barrel spending. They go, yeah, they go, hey Bob, I need you to be able to vote for this bill. Okay, Dale, what do you want? But then they grease the wheels to get a policy passed.
Well, that's where some of their money comes from.
Yeah.
Like they go, we're going to either give you money or we're going to just do whatever, right?
Yeah.
And in the other stuff it's not even about the bribes as much as just modern politics has a lot of money involved.
Well,
Like how we wound up with like Ted Cruz as our senator, right?
Yeah.
He came from outside Tea Party money in North Central Texas. It wasn't even the other, and then like, oh, and we've just been stuck with him because God forbid Republicans won't get rid of him. And then the Democrats, we're not going to vote for a Democrat to replace him. So, oh, and by the way, before I forget to say this on the African thing, the reason why multi-Africa is called the there's things with missionaries. We will send, so parts of Africa are fine. Like when you get towards the sub-Saharan and towards like that area, every time missionaries build up a school or give them farming equipment, they either break it down or strip it or sell it. Because this is what the Chinese are finding out with the Belt and Road. They're coming over there for like mining rights and other things. They're finding out they have had all this equipment the entire time. They have to train, some crews train them to work. But if the Chinese companies that come over there to get the stuff, or foreign people, if they don't have their own security, the Africans they have that work there will strip the work site down for parts.
Yeah, but not only that, like the work won't be done. The sad truth is they have a very different mentality than here. When they come here, they want to work hard because they want a better life. But a lot of African, they let's be honest, they are lazy. They are late. When they are in Africa at least, and they just don't think.
Whoa! You want a good example of them when they come over? Look at all Europe. That's not just Muslim refugees, but African refugees. Look at how they've turned out. They expect and they demand and they don't. I'm sorry. There's a reason why the term per capita exists, and it's not. It wasn't created for that, but the term per capita has a meaning and it's used for a reason. That they are known for certain actions and certain lifestyles.
Aren't they coming up there for you guys because some of them work in the mines, or they
know us,
or they're doing
to have a better life and more money?
But they're not.
The
we're not
work
getting
is
as
not
much.
paid well.
We were getting a lot of them to do like the crappy menial jobs, like the black jobs, as they said, the menial end jobs. But those jobs up in here are no longer being taken by Africans; they're being taken over by Indians.
Yeah, that's true.
They're still going to.
Okay, I'll ask you guys this: are they filling the niche? The ones coming over that are like doing like the jobs they can work there for like maybe 3 to 4 years, because like in the US a lot of Mexicans or Latinos come up here, work 4 to 5 years, and they can go live down there down there, and they have a lot more money.
Yeah, that's some of the cases they do that.
Not as much here, like with our Filipinos, they work here and then they send money back home. And
African also do that. Not just Latinos. African also do that very often. Yeah. Complex things there. Let's play the rest.
Taken over by a bunch of minorities.
That's true.
The answer is no, we don't.
Yeah.
That's insane. The millions upon millions of dollars that have been wasted on these complete BS initiatives, and it's adding up to billions of dollars that we've now found in cut, and they're doing it with like a team of young people. You know, that guy on Twitter whose name was Big Balls or whatever. Like, these are just normal, average American citizens who are finding these like mountains of waste. And where there's smoke, there's fire. I think there's something else going on with the amount of money that's being funneled to all these different places, and it's no wonder that these individuals are becoming bureaucrats and then leaving with way more money than their salary dictates they're making. Now,
Justin Trudeau.
In fraudulent uses of money and money laundering and moving things around. Let's talk about Ukraine. Oops, sorry. Okay.
with no end in sight. The United States has sent hundreds of billions of dollars to support Ukraine's defense with no security, with no anything. Do you want to keep it going for another 5 years? Yeah, you would say Pocahontas says yes.
Do you know who that is?
And you're not going to see it in this
No.
clip, but when he
That's-
says Pocahontas
that's
says yes,
Elizabeth
they literally
Warren.
cuts to Elizabeth Warren,
Okay.
and she is sitting there clapping like a seal, smiling ear to ear about the prospect of another 5 years of sending billions, hundreds of billions of dollars to Ukraine. And she might think that's some big gotcha moment. He called me out. He called me Pocahontas. He's the oppressor. He's coming after me. But what you are clapping for in that moment is another 5 years of death and destruction with the Ukrainians, with the Russians. It's unbelievable that you could sit there, and because you are so blinded by Trump derangement syndrome, you can't see through to what you should and should not be cheering on. But she's saying, yes, if this war goes on another 5 years, I would love for us to funnel billions upon billions, hundreds of billions of dollars over to the Ukrainians. For what? So that this can continue. So death and destruction can continue. But it's not going to continue, I don't think. Zelensky is already talking after getting his ass smacked in the Oval Office by Donald Trump and J.D. Vance about peace talks and about coming forward to create some sort of resolution with Russia, and to have Donald Trump be a part of those talks, considering that without U.S. funding, this war would have been over expeditiously. And that's not to speak to the character of anybody involved or to, endorse a certain individual. It's just to say that's the fact. So the fact that...
And I gotta add something I hear that was... I did hear about that. I was talking about politics with other people at a place I'm going every Sundays, and it was very interesting how that person that was pro support Ukraine, he brought a very interesting point where it's more about standing up for the small ones so the big ones don't consider invading every small one and start controlling everything. I thought that point there was kind of interesting.
Okay. I've had to say this on Twitter. I've said this before. Not all wars have one good side, one bad side. Sometimes wars have two good people fighting for a just cause. Sometimes it's two bad people fighting for bullshit.
Bad cause.
Or for bullshit. This is fighting for bullshit. This is two bad guys. Neither are good. What's his name? Who's the Ukrainian?
Zelensky.
He is so fucking corrupt.
Yeah, he sounds like
there is no fighting for the small guy. Before this whole big war with the Ukraine, everyone said Ukraine was the money laundering capital of the world. It was so fucking corrupt there, and it still is. But because there is no standing up for anyone, and just because you don't stand with Zelensky does not mean you're standing up for Putin. You just don't stand up for Nazi-loving, who has a Nazi regime in his army, which is weird because he's a Jew. So no, there is no legitimate reason for standing up for Ukraine. It's all garbage there.
I like your point there. I kind of agree, but again, I feel like if you try to flip, the good side is, oh, we stand up for the small one. But you're right, it's corrupt, so the small one is also a bad guy there.
There is no small one. It's all corruption. It's corruption versus corruption. And here's the thing. Zelensky could have ended the war by now. The war could have been over. But that little shitbag has been continuing the war because he's making money. He's been stealing money. All that money that went missing. Look at his wife from the start of the war to current, the amount of plastic surgery she's had. He had houses. No, he's got money.
I love because it's true.
He's got properties in the U.S. He is a corrupt dirtbag. He was one of the ones who, what were the papers that were published that showed a bunch of big political people who had money held in the Cayman Islands and whatnot? He was listed.
Yeah.
He is a corrupt piece of shit.
He was
That's
put in. He was put into power.
By
See,
the
here's
US.
here's the thing. A lot of people do not understand about Ukraine. Ukraine going back to Biden Obama years, right? He threatened. It's not that there is ever the idea of corruption, because no one talks about Burisma anymore, or like the guy literally set up a shell company in Ukraine with a bunch of influential sons. That guy who started that was eventually thrown in prison. Obama chunked money at Ukraine way back when.
It wasn't until Trump said, whoa, 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 whoa. We're not giving you any more money that until you
Going
explain
off
what's
and
going
on for years, where like, and then Zelensky, the prosecutor, was going to go after the guy who did Burisma, was removed. Arguably, when they try to clean up the corruption, it's like trying to clean up mob rule or mob corruption in the
And they were,
US.
whoa, it wasn't just cleaning up corruption when they were specifically targeting Burisma. When they were going after Hunter Biden's job.
It wasn't just Hunter Biden. There was more than Hunter Biden at
No.
that job.
No,
At that
but when
company.
they specifically went after Burisma, specifically, did Biden come in and he says, well, we never held them accountable or we never blackmailed them or anything. He regularly went around saying, I told them that they weren't going to give any more money till they fired him. And guess what? He got fired.
They said we're going to cut off foreign aid, and then they just sacked the guy, the prosecutor, and then that prosecutor was laterally thrown in prison or kicked out of public because of some corruption scandal. So it's not like you have other corruption to fight corruption over there. It's everyone's known that Ukraine, like, but in the modern era, like we put help Zelensky on there, but also after the invasion in 14, where Russia wanted their seaport back of Sevastopol, where they took the eastern part, it's been the Ukrainians, because Putin wants to recreate the Soviet Union to a degree, that he believes he needs to take Ukraine. Now the trick is, this is all verifiable. We've either given them money, we gave them training so they were able to resist a little bit. But we've also been just dumping money and extra arms off, mostly, which are going to expire anyways.
Yeah. So I guess that's enough for the Ukraine conflict, because I want to move along with the video. But that was very interesting to talk about that a bit, and I like opposition to what I tried to push. That's nice.
Democrats can't even cheer on the fact that world leaders are coming forward to say this war must end and we must
Diplomacy.
move to resolution and to peace. What more do you need? The list just gets longer and longer and longer. And those are my highlights and lowlights. Of course, there were so many other moments in this speech. It was over 90 minutes long, so you guys can go check it out if you want to watch all of it. Those are the most important parts for me. But the approval of this speech was pretty high. Here you have it of CBS, a poll. 76% approved, 23% disapproved.
And I like the idea, because I feel like we get consents back. And again, diplomacy rules, and it should rule to maintain peace in the world. I like that.
On CNN, they said this.
To the results. What was your reaction to Trump's speech? 44% of speech watchers in our instant poll tonight say they had a very positive reaction to Trump's speech. 25% somewhat positive, 31% negative. To the results.
So there you go. It's about 69% either somewhat positive or positive in regard to Donald Trump and what he had to say and what this administration is accomplishing so far. I would have loved to hear more about, if I'm going to give criticisms of this speech, number one, the Epstein files, because maybe what's going on there. Okay. They told us we were going to get the Epstein files. They give a
That was
bunch
a
of,
nothing burger.
right wing, hosts and influencers, these binders that have the information that we've already had as the American public in regard to Epstein. And now Pam Bondi says as of Friday, she's going to release another batch of Epstein files that are actually going to have things that sort of move the dial and change the
Epstein thing. I gotta ask, why are we not getting the full list like right now? I feel like guys are just holding it
Well, there's
secret or something.
there's two main simple reasons to boil down. One is because the feds tried to destroy as much evidence as possible, and that's been proven, and hold back. And they were the ones who held back sending information in the first place. The second reason is there's too many big names on there that if you throw out all those names at once, it's going to cause chaos.
So this is what's given not just hindsight. So Trump since then said he was going to declassify not just that, the JFK files too, which turned out some interesting, but not that groundbreaking. The binders that they produced for the so-called expose that is like, we're finally going to get the travel logs in this. It didn't really happen. The thing with Epstein is one of I honestly say Epstein's like one of like the big mysteries. But the thing is, when you start digging in and the people who have gotten close to it have said it's not really a big, vast conspiracy. Like Epstein made his money by pandering both to Democrats and Republicans and people with power. Like it goes all the way up to the British royal family with Prince Andrew.
It's
like
more than just him.
It's so the idea of his list, as soon as they raided his apartment, his planes, and his property, there was been claims that logs, memos, the videotapes that he collected were used by the FBI to blackmail people, our government to use it.
Corruption.
Basically, but if we do this. And the funny part is it extends all the way to Hollywood. What's funny?
The Diddy tapes.
Diddy, the same thing too.
Well, do you not remember shortly after the Diddy tapes, because after he was arrested, shortly after they said that we have the Diddy tapes now?
There was the California fire.
No. No, not even the California fire, but suddenly all of the celebrities last minute started coming out for Kamala Harris.
That's true. Actually, that's true.
With the Trump versus Biden the first time, celebrities were out the whole time. And there were certain celebrities who this whole time from last time who were shitting on him. But it wasn't until the very end, shortly after the Diddy tapes were announced that they had them, did they start have a lot of celebrity pushback. Despite the polls saying that she was going to win, there was this push at the very last minute by celebrities going, it's just a bit convenient.
Yeah, that's true. So I guess that was very interesting. Now I know more about that Epstein BS. So we are now in the outro because I see time flies and I want to do something else before my nap. So anyway, what do you have going on your end of the internet, Mandalore?
Recovering from getting bone pulled from my face. Harassing a specific gay beanie baby. Doing stuff with D-Lord from time to time, and starting shit online, so my normal.
Okay, what about you, D-Lord? I've been doing commentary topics. I started stealing. Actually, I started progressing a little bit. I had last week I had two commentary topics. One was on the Snow White thing that someone here left me hanging on.
I'm sorry, my tooth decided to crack.
I understand, but
I-
you did the other thing earlier in the week of
Oh, quick
Assassin's Creed.
question. Did you finish the video that I walked out on because I couldn't?
Yes, and sort of
thank
enjoyed
God.
it.
So there
I
was a
sent that to
benefit
Multi
to
to review.
I told you, D Lord, I ate Rachel Zegler. That idea of that movie is
No, I
trash.
meant the
and,
fighting cowboy video.
and
Yes,
No,
that's
I'm
your
not
crazy
watching it
shit.
a second time.
I will eventually watch Snow White once the mainstream
That's
forget
down.
it existed, and once I can pirate it. I
So
don't want to support that movie, and I don't want to be a grifter that benefits from a movie that doesn't interest me by any means. It's just more morbid curiosity. I'm just like, that movie will be shit. That's why I want to see it.
Does your girlfriend not want to watch it?
Even if she wants to, I'm saying no.
No, if she wants to watch it and she wants you to watch it, you're watching it, dude.
So the thing,
Eventually, I will. Again, I will watch it once it dies off, because that's the 2025 movies. But again, it's out of morbid curiosity, because I don't give a shit about some
Here,
like
Multi,
fairy
let me
tale.
explain it. D-Lord made me watch it, parts of it. I think we watched in total about 45 minutes or half an hour.
And you want it to die? Okay.
I wanted to and it was through a
I
third
showed
party.
him. I showed him just the little parts of it.
The main parts. I want my money back for that.
You see, this is why I wait, so I can pirate this shit. I don't want to support.
No,
that,
actually, you know
that
what? You
turd.
have to. You have to watch it. You owe me for making me watch that child thing the other month.
Okay.
You owe me. You need to suffer.
Okay, here's like a thing.
I will suffer again, but I want to pirate this shit. I won't
Now let
support
me.
it.
And here's the thing. I have a topic coming up that I want to do, but I don't know if anyone's sadistic or either hates themselves enough or that could just sit down, watch it. Adolescence. I will be trying to do something on that.
I heard good things about it.
What?
That's the TV show, right?
You've heard good things, or the plot that. So okay. So Adolescence is a giant shit show. Because this is also on the heels of Starmer. Basically, I'll probably butcher that name, coming out and saying toxic masculinity and Andrew Tate and them are terrible people, which is true, but like toxic masculinity is bad. So in the Netflix thing, they race swapped the kid from a 13-year-old white boy, from a black kid to a white kid, who
Oh wow.
No, not even that. If you
it's worse than anything.
the pictures of
Okay.
him, like during the arrest and around that time, you can tell he's mentally deranged. He
Okay.
looked crazy, and they turned it to this well-groomed little right-wing boy.
Okay.
Basically, he was a 13 in just the premise. It's 4 episodes, but it's delving very deep into a lot of topics because one part goes where it's the idea that they're trying to blame the manosphere. So supposedly
That's stupid. That's disgusting. Okay.
So here's the thing where it has where he stabbed the girl because the girl was his bully at school, but he was secretly in love with her. But out of fury, he stabs her. Then they try to get the kid to say, "Did you know what you're doing?" And then there's the other like 3 episodes or so where there's like a black detective, and it's like the current UK where they're talking about toxic masculinity, the state of men and boys.
That sounds terrible
And-
because it feels like it's ended by the left and not by nuanced vision or some shit like that. Okay.
But you get the idea.
Yeah.
And even Sorter, who can sit through the political stuff, doesn't want to sit through it because it is a topic literally that people have been going after the UK and like the BBC for and all that stuff, where they are saying diversity is strength, but it's like the female psychologist is talking. But that's the adolescence, right? That is it. it sparked a big debate because it's like watermill role models and such. And
Yeah.
it's like, but this series got greenlit. Then whatever finally was the final product is this twisted product that is
Not based in reality.
it is they changed it, and it's basically
same
progressives and liberal people trying to get a win at the cost
Oh,
of
I see. Okay, I
distorting.
want to see it now, but for the wrong reason because I want to tear this shit apart.
That's why I said
Perfect.
I'll let
convinced
you.
me. Yeah.
It's I'm gonna watch it, but see, Sorter,
I hate
Like-
liberals.
Sorter, it is.
You are a liberal.
No, what are you talking about? I'm not crazy. Well, maybe
No,
sometimes,
but seriously,
not
but I'll
liberal crazy.
cover that with you if you want to, because it is a dark. You think the Lily Phillips thing was bad, but it's like portionally comedical. Adolescence, from what everybody has seen of it in the subject matter, it's 4 episodes,
I
and
cannot
if
wait
you
to
know the
suffer through this shit.
actual, it's good to go over. But I know of a lot of people like.
Me.
Basically, it touches on, because when I told you the premise why he murdered the girl,
Yeah.
because the girl bullied him. Then
Yeah,
they
that's
portray-
fine. I heard enough. That you sold me on it. But
Good.
like, keep in mind, I'm MTT, so that may take forever for me to get around it because like there are other stuff I want to
It's
cover
on
before.
Netflix. I'm
I
sure
know,
the
but
sites have it already up.
oh, actually, since it's Netflix, maybe that will give me a reason to watch something on Netflix because my girlfriend has Netflix. Actually, I will watch it with my girlfriend. I know what we are doing. Perfect.
Just don't make commentary about. Just
Okay.
be careful.
So, anything else?
That's pretty much it this week. I have still some gaming stuff I'm going to do this week, but good otherwise. I'm working on new. I have my little projects, but
Okay.
yeah. And let me know too on the. Not really any movies or anything currently, but it's.
I will get back at you backstage because like I see time flies. So, in my end of the internet, tomorrow Eternals and No Way Home. So if you want to opt in the Lord, you will have link. And Wednesday maybe we will do a reaction stream. I'm not quite sure. I will get back at you guys for
Just
Wednesday.
something more recent.
Yeah. Like we are done with politics for now. I will try to find something that's not political, and hopefully
You know what
we
we
won't.
should react to right after is the Canadian election, which is we should do a rather than waiting and responding to someone else responding to it, we should cover it.
If you find a video we could react to about
I
it,
just said
that's
not
fine.
react to a video. Jeez.
We do reaction here. Just talking. I told you, Mandalore. Like just talking, it doesn't work. I did a podcast that didn't work, and that was just talking about stuff. So okay. Well, this is it. Well, actually, Thursday, Daredevil Born Again, around 2 p.m. Eastern time. And around 3 p.m. Eastern time, so right after Daredevil Thursday, we will be talking about 2 movies. I think it's Opus and Death of a Unicorn. 2 movies that are quite recent, and if I remember correctly, they're both A24. And I enjoyed both movies, and we will have people on, and that's it for now. I don't think I will be doing anything over the weekend because I'm occupied on the weekends now. Like my weekends are dead zones for now. Anyhow, next Monday maybe another reaction stream. We will see how it goes. And with this, we are out. Hopefully next time we do a reaction, it's not political. I don't want to always do politics, And we are gone.